Hey everybody, welcome to the Power Hour of Love. I'm Charboil and this is
El Bandito.
How you doing tonight, El Bandito?
Oh, I'm super stoked tonight. You guys could see we skipped the red ribbon and jumped right into the action because we've got a big night tonight. We've got the biggest of the big Avengers coming at you, man. The Incredible Hulk, our tribute to him tonight as our countdown to Infinity War concludes, man. That's right. We've covered all 5 of the other Avengers from the 2012 original Avengers movie, leading up to their culmination, then this most epic of battles in the film to come, Infinity War, that opens next Friday, April 27th, man.
Man, I can't believe it's here already, man. Like, the month of April's just flying by.
Yes.
And with that being said, I just want to say real quick to happy birthday to my little buddy Max Basil. He's one of our biggest and youngest fans out there. And I just wanted to wish him a happy birthday today.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Max. We're going to throw you some balloons right there, buddy. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Red balloons. Was there 99 of them?
Pretty close. I didn't count, but I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We got an awesome show lined up for you. You know, we know that there's a lot of people out there that are fans of the Hulk. So why don't you guys go ahead, if you could do us a favor and hit that share button and share with them. Let everybody out there know that we're talking about the Hulk tonight.
Absolutely, because there is a lot of Hulk fans out there. A super huge Hulk fan really wanted to be here with us tonight. That's why we were throwing out some advertisements. We were trying to get Captain Joel from Big Dog Comics out here, but unfortunately, the epic release of a comic book that we've got to talk about in the news later tonight has got him bound up at the store, and he could not tear himself away. But he's going to try to join us in studio soon, man. So, you know, we're all sad to see that he's not here, but we've got the next biggest and most powerful person in comics, man, the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, man, the Green Goliath, man. You know, like, I mean, he is the muscle of muscle, man. Like, he's one of those guys that if you saw him in real life, I think I'd just die.
He's like the penultimate superhero, you know, because his epicness just, like, knows no bounds. It would be like, you can't even compare him to anything else because he's so unique and original and interesting, and there's been so much hullabaloo about the character, considering he was one of the first ever brought to live action TV.
Oh yeah,
had probably the most successful live action TV series up until the 2000s. And, they made movies about him back then and all sorts of different stuff, but they changed his origin, and then he was, like, rebooted a few times in comics. So there is tons of really cool, awesome history. We're going to take a look back tonight at the original history of the Incredible Hulk. We're going to stack up the very first issue versus what's going on in the MCU and how the character has evolved into the awesomeness that's on screen today. We're also going to look at his rating and his ranking as our, Infinity War countdown poll comes to an end, man, because next Monday we are going to release a winner. We're going to talk about it a little bit later for the Power Hour of Love's Most Loved Avenger.
You know it, man. It's been an awesome ride. Like you said, the countdown's coming to an end. Next Friday, as in not this Friday, but the following Friday, we're going to finally see what happens when Thanos sets foot down and probably wrecks a lot of the town.
You know it, man. So we've also got some awesome news stories and PoDunk news. Like we said, there is some huge, epic level comic book news that we're going to drop on you guys during the PoDunk news. We've also got some fun stories about some crazy robberies kind of gone awry there. And we've also got some news about the Daytona Comic-Con coming up this weekend, man. We're really excited to get out there and check that place out. We'll let you know about it in the news. But for right now, what do you say we jump right into the countdown, man?
Let's do it.
All right, let's check it out.
Oh yeah, still an awesome intro there, El Bandito.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we're gonna get to use it one more time next week as we dedicate the entire episode to the Infinity War, what it meant in comics, what we think it's going to mean, our predictions for the film, everything like that. It's going to be a super epic, super special episode. So when you're done here tonight, don't feel bad and feel all Avengered out because we've got one more week. And then I promise we'll talk about other stuff because I know it seems like this dominates, but there is just so much cool stuff going on with the Avengers right now that we couldn't in good conscience let it roll by the wayside.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, this is a monumental event. I mean, it's like, the Avengers, the first movie was definitely one of those things where you're like, man, this is the first time that these various superheroes are getting together. And that was like just those movies. Like, now that the movies expanded out to like the Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange and stuff, now those characters are getting roped in too. So it is, like I said, it's 10 years in the making.
Yeah, and it's not only something epic for comic books, because it was definitely something I was like, that'll never happen. We'll never see Batman and Superman together. We'll never see the likes of the Avengers together. But they pulled it off, and they did it, and it's been incredible. And it's been a 10-year ride. And the coolest thing to me is that it's also a cinema milestone. It's the largest crossover in cinema history, uniting 64 different Marvel characters from various films all together. So pretty awesome. So why don't you scooch in a little? I feel like you're like 10 feet away over there today.
Oh yeah, totally, man. I can get a little closer.
There you go. Come in here and warm me up.
I think my microphone tonight has a mind of its own because it's moving ever so slightly down every once in a while. But don't worry. Just like the Hulk, man, I'll get control of it,
You could be like me where I'm constantly fiddling with my
I think that's what's going to be happening. I'm just going to sit here and hold him like, listen here, guys, the Hulk,
You can barely, that mic stand can barely contain the rage within him.
It is. But here we go. Now we're a little closer, and we're ready to get into the guy who probably has the worst anger management in all of the Marvel universe. But
no
so
doubt.
Awesome.
All right, so the Incredible Hulk, man. You guys know him from the MCU and all the exciting stuff he's done. You know him from, the 70s TV shows with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, one of our favorites, But let's take a look back, all the way back to May of 1962, and let's check out what's going on with, can you guess it? Stan Lee.
Oh, yeah, the man, Stan the Man.
So Stan the Man, he was going around and just creating all of this amazing stuff. He came out with the Fantastic Four. He had worked on Captain America years earlier. So now here he is getting to write a whole brand new book, and he comes up to his buddy, the legendary Jack Kirby. Again,
oh, yeah.
I finally found a photo of him where this is him taking a photo where he's not working.
I don't know. I
he
still
stopped
see,
for half a second.
I still see that drawing board in front of him. I think this could still qualify as working.
He looked up though, so that's a start.
This is true.
But yeah, so the two of them got together and collaborated on what became one of the most legendary and iconic books, The Incredible Hulk. He's one of the, actually the only other Avenger to appear in a self-titled book as his premiere.
Oh, okay.
No astonishing tales, no journeys into mystery or anything like that. Captain America #1, The Incredible Hulk #1. Both those cats premiered.
There you go.
In their own titular book. Also, like Captain America, he's the second oldest Avenger.
Okay.
Thor would release later that year in August, and Iron Man in '63, and then Widow and Hawkeye in '64.
Okay.
So, with a 20-year or so gap between Cap and Hulk, he's still the second oldest of the Avengers.
There you go, man. Well, definitely, like you said, then would you say he's the second wisest?
I don't know, man. He's like a doctor. He seems super smart. It depends if you mean the Hulk or Banner.
That's true, yeah.
But there are a little bit of differences between what we see in the MCU today and what is in comics today as the Hulk's origin and the original story. Now, I have to say, I'm going to start off by saying this is literally like my favorite origin story. Like, it's so succinct. It's literally like 5 pages in the beginning of the book, and it's just great. I don't know why. When I was a kid, this super struck a chord with me, and I loved it, man. What do you think of the original classic story?
Oh, absolutely, man. It's like it has that like almost like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of feel to it. Like the doctor was trying to do this thing to help. I mean, I believe like What were they working on the gamma radiation for? I mean,
Well,
was it?
You want to dive into the book and find out?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, 'cause
Okay.
I mean, like I said, I don't really know that. I mean, I was thinking he was probably doing something to help, but I know
It's probably been a minute since the last time you read this this version of the origin.
I do know doesn't he save somebody or so? Or he's trying. Okay, so yeah, let's dig into it.
Yeah, well, definitely let's sink our teeth into it.
Okay.
And we got some images from the original book here. This is again May of 1962, the first issue of the Incredible Hulk. Great cover here, of course, done by Jack Kirby. And if we jump right into it, man, there's a lot of similarities. I mean, the first page here we have Thunderbolt Ross, his daughter Betty, and Dr. Bruce Banner. So 3 of the most popular, most well-known characters. Betty Ross, played by Liv Tyler.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The General Ross, played by William Hurt.
Oh, perfect selection for that one.
Yeah, and then Dr. Banner, portrayed by several people on film, currently Mark Ruffalo.
Yes, my favorite also.
Yeah, he's super great, man. So that's starting off, it's looking good, but it turns out that he's actually working on a gamma bomb. Because, again, this is kind of that era of nuclear testing and nuclear energy tests and stuff like that. So what he's working on is he's gotten together with a group of scientists for the military, for General Ross, and they're working on creating a bomb that will use gamma radiation to kind of, they're basically testing to see what's going to happen. They don't know what it's going to do, but they realize this stuff has amazing potential, so they're going to detonate it and see what happens when they detonate it, right?
Gotcha.
Now, in the book, Dr. Bruce Banner here, he is touted as the leading expert on gamma radiation, so much so that the other scientists are constantly asking him about his work and how he discovered different things and what he knows, and he's kind of just casually like, all right, well, let's focus on today. This is a pretty big test. We all need to be paying attention, when all of a sudden he looks out into the field and he sees that some teenage kid has wandered into the atomic blast site out there.
Always those teenage 1960s kids.
This is greasers and Hellcats out there.
Probably somebody from Greece.
So Banner looks out, he gets all like, oh my gosh, we got to do something. And he tells the guy next to him, whose name is Igor.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Mad scientist.
Yeah.
Right?
So he says, Igor, hold the detonation. I'm going to run out and save that kid. Right? And look right in the next panel, man. They waste no time in these origins. Right in the next panel, Igor's thinking to himself, oh man, I can steal all of his research if I just let Banner get exploded in this bomb out here.
Damn, Igor's a dick.
Yeah, super guy. So Banner runs out, and he runs into this kid called Rick Jones.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
That's the legendary Rick Jones from Marvel Comics, right? And he's just hanging out here playing the harmonica. Banner's running up telling him, dude, there's an atomic bomb. And, Jones is all like, oh, what's the big deal, man? I'm cool. I know what's up. And he's like, nah, dude, we're going to get exploded in like 2 seconds.
He's like, Bruce, man, I'm having a great time.
He's more like, I'm Rick Jones, bitch. I do what I want. But anyhow, we can also see, man, right there, Igor's just like, oh, psh, and he hit the fire button. So
whoops.
Really nice, super guy out there. But Banner manages to push Rick Jones into a sort of trenched area that they know the radiation won't flood into. And this artwork here is just beautiful, man. I love these couple of little panels here of him just being irradiated,
Oh, absolutely, man.
And what's funny is in later years, this is going to get reprinted time and time again, and these panels are all changed to green.
Oh, okay, okay.
But in the original book here, they're all in this bright, vibrant red. But just the facial expression of Banner there as he's getting hit with this, and also the leading lines that, are in the center panel that are just flooding him. They're just so cool, man. I mean,
sure.
It's just an example of the great work that Jack Kirby was doing. Kind of groundbreaking stuff. It was really cool. But so Banner gets the full blow, the full brunt of this gamma radiation, man. Just gets soaked in it. And we all kind of know what happens from there, right? But there's a bit of a twist because Banner's totally fine. He just wakes up and he's in the army base and nothing bad happened. And, Rick Jones is there and he's like, dude, you threw me out of the way of the blast. I couldn't just leave you out there. So I brought you back here. And, they said you were knocked out or whatever. So we were taking care of you. And he's like, oh, okay, well, that was cool, man. So he starts hanging out there for a bit, and he's talking to them. They tell him, we want you to stay here for, we want to observe you or whatever. And then something kind of strange happens.
What's that?
Because come sunset, he transforms into the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, really? So Sunset had some?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Again, another cool tri-panel here of this sort of progression. It's kind of something I think Jack Kirby is famous for, is the transformations of character. You'll see it a lot later in Thor, even in Iron Man when he's donning his suit, So there's lots of just really great kind of becoming the hero sort of panels.
Sure.
But yeah, he totally turns into the Hulk inside of this building here. He's a little bit articulate. He can say, what am I doing in this place? I don't know what's going on. He knocks over Rick Jones, tells him, get away from me, you insect. He punches his way out of this underground kind of facility, smashes up some army vehicles that are literally like just driving up like, what the hell is this thing? And he's like, ah, and just matches them. And proceeds to wander off into the distance. And Rick Jones is calling after him like, no, let me help you, dude. He's like, this must be a side effect of what happened. Like, I can help you.
Yeah.
And
Rick Jones all of a sudden is like this like scientist guy that's like, hey, listen, I was a greaser 5 minutes ago, but
no, I mean, not in a scientific sense, but in a like, dude, don't be scared kind of way,
Yeah, trying to be the hero now that he saved him.
Yeah, it's more like the kids in the Goonies kind of a thing, where they're kind of slick and smart, and they think they can help with kind of values more than anything else.
Sure.
So anyways, the confused Hulk kind of wanders off into the distance, and that's the end of the first part of the story. Like I said, it's only like 5 pages, and then from there, he runs into bad guys and enemies, and he stops some other people, and, all this other chaos ensues, man. But what's surprising is, like, again, that's the end of the origin.
Yeah.
And then the stories kind of go from there. And I just love that. I love everything about that in the sense that Banner went out there to help somebody else, and now he's plagued with this kind of curse of turning into the Hulk.
Yeah, man. It's kind of like, it's almost like if like Frankenstein could like not be a monster for a little bit, and then like, you kind of, because like, same thing, he can kind of like articulate and stuff like that, but just his sheer size and mass, you'd be kind of like, oh, what the hell is that thing, But yeah, that's just a really cool panel right there, kind of just seeing him wandering off into the
walking off into the sunset, ready to like, he's like the guy in Kung Fu. He's gonna go get into adventures out there. Things are gonna happen,
So basically, the Hulk became a bum.
He had no legal tender or place of residence. So he was a bum.
But he was a doctor though, so he probably get a job anywhere.
That's true. In the daytime, he was fine. So that's the original origin story. This story will pick up, like I said, in the same issue. They tell like a couple little stories. He ends up fighting a guy. I can't think of his name. It's like the ground dweller or something like that.
So it definitely wasn't the leader. Like wasn't the leader didn't come until later. Okay.
Right. But they do have later in the book, Ross is chasing him. Betty is like, oh, we got to help him. Igor makes another appearance there.
Oh, so he wasn't done, huh?
Yeah. So, but again, there's a lot of questions versus what happened in the original book to what's going on in the MCU, or even in the 70s TV show or in the comics today. So let's take a look at some of the key differences, and we'll start off with this Igor guy.
Sure.
Right? See, when the Hulk comes back later and he's trying to figure out what's going on, Igor, of course, shoots him because he doesn't know what the heck he is. So right off the bat, this is only like issue 2, actually this might even be in the same first issue. But they're showing that he's bulletproof,
Oh, okay. So it establishes that ability. I got you.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's pretty interesting. But again, so how come this Igor guy isn't mentioned today? Like, where did he come from?
Yeah, where did he go?
What's up with him, So Igor's last name is Drenkov, right? So he's a former Russian scientist who came to the Americas during the Cold War kind of a thing. Kind of a tropey thing we see at the comics at the time.
Sure, 60s,
Yeah, but ironically, he won't be featured in any other book since the first issue for 30 years.
Wow. Okay.
So this guy's like the guy responsible for giving us the Hulk in comics, and we never hear from him again.
Really?
So that's a little interesting. But again, you mentioned it, right? It's kind of like Frankenstein, kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, amalgamation, isn't that what they call that?
Yeah, amalgamation.
There you go.
But Igor is a direct reference to Frankenstein.
Oh, okay.
Where he had his assistant Igor, because the Incredible Hulk is based off of those two works.
Sure.
Right? That Stan Lee will recount on occasion that it was his love for both of these films and stories that made him kind of develop the character, thinking both of having someone who would battle himself, would be a monster sometimes, but not always, but also the Hulk kind of representing the Frankenstein monster in the sense of his gargantuanness, of his kind of slow-wittedness. He wasn't dumb. He just didn't know anything.
Absolutely. I mean, even the look, like, the wrinkled face and the hair and stuff like that, definitely you see the similarities.
Absolutely. And when you look at this classic film poster for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, you kind of see that, even Mr. Hyde's not too far off from looking like how the Hulk is looking,
absolutely.
So that was a huge influence on the story, and that's why Igor was there. And then, boom, they didn't need him anymore. He was just kind of a nod, whatever, throwaway guy. But 30 years later, someone got the idea to reintroduce him in a 1992 book for one story, and then he was gone again.
Okay.
So everyone's kind of waiting for the year 2022 and see if he shows up for another issue again.
Oh, okay. So he's still walking around.
He's still out there walking around.
That would be pretty cool.
His appearance in 92, I thought I had a photo of it, but instead I guess we get the Gray Hulk. But in the 92 issue, he wakes up in the lab and is reliving the events of what created Dr. Banner. And he doesn't know why, and it's very weird. And at the end, it has a little twist. We won't spoil it for you if you want to go read the book. But it's kind of interesting. And then again, he's in the wind.
Huh.
So
we'll have to see if he pops back in.
Now, the other big change from the MCU to the original first book there is the Gray Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
He's obviously gray in the first issue of the book there, but there are a couple of panels, even you see when he's shooting Hulk, when Igor's shooting Hulk, he appears green in the panel.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit weird, but it turns out that even in the second issue, here he is. Here's him in the first cover where he's gray. But in the very second issue, he's green.
Yeah, on the cover here, yeah.
Yeah, he's green on the cover and in the book, and forever he's green. Right? Well, okay, I shouldn't say forever because sometimes he goes back to being gray.
Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah, we'll give you the story, a little bit of the story behind it here, though. The intent was for the character to be gray. That they wanted him to be a big gray monster.
Okay.
Because then he could hide in shadows and be kind of dark and stuff like that. But the printer couldn't actually print gray very well. And on occasion, a couple of the panels came out where he looked sort of green. So considering it wasn't going to be consistent, they liked the green panels enough to just be like, can you guys just do him green? And we'll just do him green. So they just ran with it, and that's why he's green.
Well, that's pretty interesting, man. So ultimately it was like you said, something at the publisher. It wasn't the artist's choice or Stan Lee that was like, I want him to be green. It was just like, this is what we can do that makes him look the same all the time.
and it's funny because when you compare him to Mr. Hyde or Frankenstein, they're both traditionally green.
Yes.
Yes. So you kind of think like, oh, well, that's probably why he's green. But then you got to think, well, when they saw those movies at the time, like those old movies were in black and white.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Frankenstein would have looked gray.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so it kind of made sense where they would do that. But like you said, all the poster art and even those covers that we saw, you said they always looked green.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. But again, I think it was more their intent to not have him look like those characters, and then he ended up looking like those characters. And they're like, whatever, it's fine. But now we have things like we can call him the Jade Giant and stuff like that,
Sure.
So it's cool. I mean, I think everyone kind of loves him being green. Like you said, there are times throughout the book, Mr. Fix-It, where the Hulk's mutation kind of changes. He ends up being Gray Hulk again. He ends up being smart in the Hulk. It's always kind of different. They put a lot of twists and spins on it over the years because what's funny is the original book ran for 6 issues and then was canceled.
The Hulk got the axe.
Yeah, it just wasn't very super popular. But they brought him back like a month or so later in the Fantastic Four, and then would appear in annuals and stuff like that for the rest of the year. And then boom, all of a sudden, he got his own titular book again because. Like a lot of the other characters, he kept appearing in these sideline books.
Oh yeah.
So they renamed one of the sideline books The Incredible Hulk again.
Okay.
So their count's a little weird. They got a couple different volumes and stuff in there, but it's definitely fun to try to follow the early history of the Hulk because he bounces kind of from book to book. So
just real quick, I don't know if we talk about this later on, but a little trivia for you guys. What famous X-Men character makes his appearance in The Incredible Hulk?
Yeah, throw it in the comments if you know. We do. Captain Joel would know.
Oh, you know he would, but he ain't here. So
no, it's all good. But so we've got one more kind of out dangling question that to me was a little bit like, hey, wait a minute. You guys included so much stuff from the original book here. I kind of get leaving Igor out. There was no story elements from him later on. But Rick Jones, whatever happened to Rick Jones, the plucky teenager hanging out playing his harmonica, right? Now, believe it or not, this character was very prominently featured in the original 6 issues of the book as this teenager who kind of goes around trying to help the Hulk and convince people that he's not really a bad guy.
That's kind of a cool arc.
Yeah, and sort of the point of the original character, the take on the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Frankenstein thing, was that he would be an involuntary superhero, that he'd be an involuntary monster, but he would be misunderstood. And that was kind of the crux, the backbone of the character. It wasn't about his strength or about the anger stuff or anything like that. It was about the fact that he was misunderstood. And that's what these stories were about. And Rick Jones served as the sort of protagonist character that we would identify with as like, no, we can see that the Hulk is doing good stuff. Where all of these other people would be like, no, he's a bad guy. We have to stop him. We got to get him,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a movie or something that has kind of like a similar... But you see that sometimes where there's like someone that was kind of involved, but they're like an underling or something. So everyone's like, get out of here. And they're like, no, he's still good.
Yeah, I mean, Hawkeye ends up being
that's true
in his comic later on. So check out our Infinity War countdown for Black Widow and Hawkeye to get the full story on that. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Lots of good stuff coming.
The fact that his anger prompts his abilities is also something that changed throughout the years. Like I mentioned, initially in the first few books there, it was the sun setting would turn him into the Hulk.
Yeah, that makes you think almost like lycanthropy. And I mean, I know it's not the same because obviously there's no full moon involved, but
just kind of a Wolfman-esque sort of thing. Is wrapping all the classic monsters into it, which is ironic because, of course, Universal is the one who picks up and does the Hulk movie in 2004, I believe it was.
Yeah,
the Ang Lee one.
Yep.
Yeah, it was made by Universal, and they also co-made the movie, The Incredible Hulk, in 2008. With Marvel.
Gotcha.
So it's probably the only monster movie they did right, because they let Marvel help them out. But so Rick Jones, what happened to Rick Jones, right? Now, I'll tell you how intense the story with Rick Jones goes, right? The original first Avengers comic book, as we've mentioned before, is based on Loki tricking the Hulk into doing some bad stuff to get Thor's attention because Loki needs Thor to get him out of some trapped realm he's in, and he wants to battle Thor and take over and everything. The other Avengers, by happenstance, hear the warning about the Hulk, that he's tearing up the city and people think he's trashing stuff, right? Well, that warning that they hear is a message by Rick Jones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Rick Jones reads in a local paper that the Hulk has destroyed a train trestle, right? Really, this was Loki tricked him into thinking there was dynamite on it, so he destroyed it to try to get rid of the dynamite.
Okay, yeah.
But then he ends up doing that classic holds the train tracks up so the train can go over him kind of thing. So Hulk kind of saves the day, but everyone thinks he was trying to rip the trestle apart before the train got there. So Rick Jones sends out the message that they need to calm down the Hulk, that they need to help him. And he sends that message to the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
Right? Now, Loki sees this and is like, no, that's not where I want it to go. So he directs it onto a different frequency and sends it towards Thor as Dr. Donald Blake.
Okay.
Right? He intercepts the message. Thor goes, okay, I'll get out there and I'll help. But also, with his sophisticated, technology and stuff, Iron Man manages to pick up that frequency and thinks, I need to go take care of the Hulk. But also, with their miniature headsets and ways of talking to each other, Ant-Man and the Wasp also pick up this communique. And they decide they want to go help Rick Jones and get the Hulk and stop him. But eventually, the Fantastic Four also get the message.
Oh, okay.
And they respond to Rick Jones, which I didn't realize this. I had to go back and read the book to remember this, right? They respond to Rick Jones that we see other people have picked up the communication, and they're going to help you out just as good as we can.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's Reed, so he's like, let us know if it gets hot, we'll still show up.
Yeah.
But we
We're
think
on a
these
break.
Guys, he's like, we think these guys can help you out. So it's really cool, and that's what gets kind of them all together is this message from Rick Jones. So where's Rick Jones? Where's he at in the MCU? He's gone. Well, believe it or not, Rick Jones gets an honorable mention in the Incredible Hulk, the 2008 movie with Edward Norton.
Really?
That kind of rebuilds and revisits a lot of the character with a lot of the more modern spins on it, being the genetic research that they do to imbue the Hulk rather than the atomic testing. But in him trying to connect in the latter part of the film, he's trying to connect with I think it's Dr. Samuelson. Is that?
Yeah.
Dr. Samuelson. And he does it by calling a student of his by the name of Rick Jones at a university.
Okay.
So it's the only mention you get of him in the whole MCU, but it's worth a tip of the cap there to old Rick Jones.
Do you know what I thought it was going to be? I thought you were going to tell me that was Stan Lee's cameo, where he drinks the gamma radiated
like soda there. Yeah,
yeah.
Which also cool fun fact is featured on a poster in the Ant-Man films.
Oh, the soda that he was drinking?
There's like an advertisement for that soda on a wall behind Scott Lang as he's walking around the city.
That's
one time.
interesting.
So
okay.
yeah, pretty cool. So the 2008 Hulk movie gets kind of glossed over a lot. So I wanted to take a minute just to throw a little bit of information about this movie out there, because I think it definitely like kind of retells the story of Hulk for the MCU with a little bit of the changes in it. And I'm not just talking about the actor being different. That's not the big change we're talking about. Edward Norton did a fine job as Bruce Banner. From whatever they said, they couldn't work it out between them to continue on from there. Mark Ruffalo is absolutely killing it. I love this guy. He's amazing. He's super charming. So I love that he's in the role. He's a super good dude. A lot of cool stories about him. Go follow him on Twitter, man. He's fantastic. Always doing this charity work and stuff. But let's take a look at what actually changed in this original 2008 movie, just real quick, and then we'll jump into some news. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. So first off, like we said, the genetic experimentation, right? So it's using gamma radiation to kind of heal people and heal things in their body and kind of make people more the super soldier route. Kind of like General Ross really wants. That's his big thing is I want another super soldier like Captain America. But they think they can kind of achieve this. And Dr. Banner's thing is to maybe help heal people through gamma radiation that are injured, not just make soldiers, So in it, when the program's about to get shut down in that classic sci-fi trope, he tries it on himself. Blasts himself full of gamma rays and becomes the Incredible Hulk and is cursed with being the green machine ever since.
There you go.
He gets a lot of mentions and nods, this film does, in all throughout the Marvel Universe, although it's never directly like referenced, which is kind of weird, but obviously Banner mentions the last time he was in New York, he broke Harlem, which is definitely a reference to this film and his battle with the Abomination.
Yes.
And also, in the Jessica Jones series, they talk about the Green Monster ripping through Harlem. And Ben Urich's Wall in Daredevil has several articles that he wrote on the Hulk's battle in Harlem. So a lot of nods, a lot of references to this film, man. But it doesn't really get a lot of play like I think it should. I think it's a little underrated, man. You guys got to get out there and check it out.
I definitely enjoyed it when it came out. I mean, I definitely thought it was a lot better than the Ang Lee film.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, just having like, I know Ang Lee's film had like a villain in it, but like this one was cool because Abomination is pretty. Besides the leader, it's pretty much.
Did you say Abomination?
Abomination.
Okay.
You only hear what you want to hear, but. The Abomination is, pretty much like his arch enemy, So it's like, I remember in all the old Sega Genesis video games and stuff, he'd be the last guy you fought and stuff like that. So
he was definitely the one guy that was really a rival to the Hulk. I mean, he was big and powerful like the Hulk. So,
and I know we haven't seen a standalone Hulk movie too, but remember there is that little cameo by what could become the leader.
Yeah,
dude's head starts getting all fat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
I kind of miss that we haven't seen Liv Tyler again. I'd love to see her show up. I mean, I think I mentioned it a while back on a different episode that. Joss Whedon actually commented in the Age of Ultron. A lot of people asked, what was Veronica? Why was Veronica called that as the thing that came down and would trap the Hulk? As that means that Tony Stark built of a satellite to try to control him.
That's right. Yeah.
And Joss Whedon said, he was like, well, it was a device that Tony made to contain the Hulk. And we figured, what would be the Hulk's arch nemesis, If it wasn't Betty calming him down, it would be Veronica. So,
oh, gosh. That's awesome.
Kind of cute trivia there, but... Getting back to the film and wrapping that up, a lot of the really cool elements that this builds on and are very important to the MCU are his working to control his anger
Yes.
and his transformations. This is a current theme throughout the whole movie. He uses this metronome to try to get into a meditative like state to calm himself and to stay away from transformations involuntary. He does do yoga and different things throughout the film.
I thought that was neat.
So,
I thought that was a cool thing that they were kind of showing him. It's like, what was it, like day 373 of not,
without an incident.
Yeah.
Yeah, which definitely culminates at the end of the movie where he finally learns to Hulk out on his own in his meditative state.
Yes.
So I've mentioned time and time again how epic this moment is in the Avengers and how it never occurred to me that Banner could just turn into the Hulk. But it's so funny to see, like, they totally set that up in this other movie.
Good
and it
point.
it was such a small kind of thing at the end and kind of neat and all. But to really see it come to fruition in the Avengers and for him, I'm always angry, to Hulk out and really get a handle on it was just such a great setup from the other movie that got glossed over, and not enough credit goes to that first movie for kind of doing that setup before the Avengers spiked it right down,
Absolutely, man. And even the way that this one started where he's like hiding in Brazil and stuff. I mean, I know the Ang Lee movie isn't connected, officially.
Right.
But I mean, to any like moviegoer, they could kind of almost be like, well,
yes.
At the end of the Ang Lee version, he's in some rainforest somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like you just, it's almost up to the people, Hey,
yeah, and what's great is like once Marvel gets involved, I love how it goes right back into stories that they tell.
Yes.
Where like the Incredible Hulk story in Brazil is very much that takeoff the Peter David work that he did about him being on the run, and it became like a fugitive type series.
Yeah.
So just use the source material, guys. It's there. It's great.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, you showing that panel where you see Edward Norton, pretty much, hulking out. You're right. They were kind of setting it up for this scene right here, which I had definitely overlooked previously. I need to go back and watch The Incredible Hulk.
All right. Well, a couple more cool things about this movie that, like I said, get totally glossed over, right? Betty Ross and Thunderbolt Ross hanging around. It's kind of sad to see them go by the wayside. They were cast so epically. Their performances were so great. But a lot of people don't realize, man, right at the end of the movie there, when Tony Stark shows up in the post-credits scene to go and talk to Thunderbolt Ross, he tells him, hey, man, I hear you got a problem with this Hulk character. Well, I know some guys that are putting a team together. I mean, he's setting it up, man.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I know Robert Downey Jr. isn't really young here, but I mean, he looks a lot younger. You can tell this is from like 10 years ago. Well, but, it's so cool.
Well, so this is kind of the last time we had seen him. And I remember watching subsequent films, and especially the Avengers, and being like, "Oh man, like,
where is he?
Yeah, no more Thunderbolt. There's a whole series later named after him, the Thunderbolts. He goes on to doing lots of epic things in the comics. So I was stoked to see him show up in Civil War.
Yes,
and basically he's the one shoving the Sokovia Accords down their throats, and he's in charge of the raft out there. So there definitely seems like we're going to get some more play with Thunderbolt here in the future, and I'm excited about it because William Hurt's epic. So
sure, man, and that was like one of the things. Like I remember, I think when we were talking before about one of the other Avengers, I said, "Oh man, we haven't seen Betty." Or was it Betsy or Betty?
It's Betty, yeah. Betsy Ross is the lady that sewed the first American flag. I get that confused all the time, too, so don't feel bad. Hey, I got to say, Jason H. out here says, I liked the Ang Lee version. We're not totally dumping on it, because I'll tell you, at the time, when I went to that theater, I was like, this thing only has to do 3 things for me to be like, I love this movie, right? 1, he has to say, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry, right? Which is a nod to the 70s Bill Bixby thing, right? The second thing was he had to like Hulk out in a really cool, awesome way. And that happens.
Sure.
And then the third thing, and this may sound kind of silly, but it was my expectation of the Hulk, was he had to grab a tank by the barrel, swing it around, and throw it. So nailed it.
One thing I have to say about the movie that I liked was the original trailer that came out for it. Like all you saw was like the outside of a house, and you hear like this, and then like a toilet bowl comes flying through the wall, and it just says Hulk, and you were just like, oh my God, this is going to be so cool. And then, like I said, I mean, I think it did some neat things where Ang Lee was trying to be like, oh, it's a comic book movie, so I'm going to like draw panels and have them do.
And that was fine. I don't totally hate that. And also, too, in the early works of the book, there's also a lot of reference to his abusive alcoholic dad being kind of a jerk.
Sure.
So that story kind of coming to light wasn't totally out of nowhere, but it just kind of fell apart at the end where you didn't get what was going on, you know?
I actually watched this a few months ago. Well, okay, I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched like the last half of it, and the person I was watching it with was like, is it supposed to be filmed like that? Like, because you see the Hulk doing all this stuff, and so he's breaking out of the facility, and then they have him in that like marshmallow stuff. Remember, like he's like stuck, and he's like, and then like the dude runs up, he's like, I'm gonna get you, Hulk, and then it like knocks the grenade off, and then he gets blown. It's
very cartoony, is what it ends up being.
Yeah,
it's like a live action cartoon, and the latter films really just kind of took it more serious as like cinema. But I get that was Ang Lee's interpretation. That's what he wanted to do.
He wanted to make it, like you said, like a cartoon or comic book come to life.
Yeah.
I think Jason H. really nails it here. He says the comic panels were neat but awkward.
Yeah.
And I think when you watch it now, after all we've gotten, that's what you feel like. You're like, this just doesn't feel right. Like, it's just weird, you know? But I know we've also rewatched that whole desert scene.
Yes.
It doesn't really have a lot of that. It's just like straight action. And you're right, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't mean to cut you off. There's definitely parts that are like, this is worthwhile. This is cool. But then there's a lot of stuff in there that, like, the movie was too long, you know?
Yeah,
the dogs, the weird dogs that are in this fight. I don't get that at all. You know?
Remember he like kept growing.
Yeah,
like remember he gets struck by lightning, and everybody was like, "That's a Hulk or that's a Thor reference."
Dude, remember he got mad at the lightning and he threw a rock at the sky.
Yeah.
Like, so there was great moments in there, but it was too touchy feely in some parts and too zany in other parts. Where cohesively, it didn't feel like one person made the whole movie.
Yeah,
it felt like Ang Lee had just a totally different like feeling for what he wanted to do every day on set, and it just ended up being really wild, you know. And I don't mean to be a buster about it, but I'm not a big Eric Bana fan. Like, he just doesn't do it for me. So
I mean, especially with where we've gone since then, even Edward Norton, I thought much better pick, and then
Ruffalo,
he's won me over. I'm definitely like he is Bruce Banner. You know? Now, one thing I think that's always been cool is that the voice of the Hulk has always been our buddy, Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno, up until Thor Ragnarok. That's actually done by Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was still...
They said
Lou.
Because he talked so much in the film, they wanted him to have more of a connection to the actor. So.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, eventually, passing the torch on, but it was cool that they kind of let him, puny god, that was Lou Ferrigno, the 1970s Hulk. So
absolutely. So, all right, so we got Thunderbolt back into the picture here in Civil War. And in case you didn't realize, like we said earlier, the Hulk basically set up the Avengers comic and everything that went on in there. So there's a lot of lead-in and attribution to the Hulk for everything that he brings to the Marvel Universe. I mean, he's not only the biggest and strongest and most badass character that they have, but he's intertwined with the most history and kind of paved the way for so many other people. And it's interesting to watch the MCU grow and develop without the Fantastic Four, because like I said, even the Avengers #1 and the Hulk ultimately got their springboard from the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
So to see the rest of the MCU kind of stand on their own, but all kind of on the backbone of the Hulk and what he did for cinema in the early 70s with the TV stuff and the movies they did then, and then later with the Ang Lee film and then the 2008 film, like, he's really holding up a lot of the movie stuff. Like, he got that ball rolling for them. So in every capacity, to me, the Hulk is keeping, he's like the Atlas of the MCU, where we can look at Iron Man and be like, that's the Godfather end all be all perfection movie of it, and that set the stage for everything they needed to do after. And Incredible Hulk came after that film, but in a way, it all kind of sits on the shoulders of the Hulk.
You know it, man. Yeah, like you said, it's just he's the glue that kind of brought them all together.
Yep, absolutely, man. So that'll about wrap it up for the history of the Hulk, man. We hope you guys found that entertaining and thought it was super cool, because I love to look back and see how much of this history is exactly like what we're seeing in the MCU, and how these small changes that they make through development of technology are helping the characters stay relevant and believable and interesting on screen, but in their heart of hearts, the stories are the same. And we see that through Ruffalo's performance, his sort of fear of becoming the Hulk, his fear of having to live with it, of releasing it, the strength of the Hulk, the fury of the Hulk. I mean, all those themes are the same as in the original comics, and I think that staying true to those things are what make the MCU as epic as it is. So.
Oh, I agree, man. Like I said, it's just, he's massive, and it's like, that's one thing about the Avengers, man. They all have just their certain points, and like the Hulk is just fury and rage, man.
All right, well, what do you say we jump into some PoDunk news? How does that sound?
Oh, man, it sounds awesome.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
PoDunk News.
Oh, yeah, man. It's come to that time of the show where we tell you guys about some of the craziest stories that's going out there in this PoDunk world. But, man, I think first and foremost, before we get to any wild news stories, we got to tell you guys about an event that you just can't miss.
Absolutely, guys. The Daytona Beach Comic Convention is happening this weekend. And, man, we talked about this a few weeks back on our all-convention episode, and they had a lot of great stuff, a lot of great people coming out. Rocky Johnson himself was going to be there, The Rock's father. I mean, how epic is that? But since then, we have looked back at this event and realized we absolutely need to be there because they have got so many cool people at a really nice local venue that you can't miss it. You're never going to get such an intimate setting with such epic artists and creators. Do you have a list of some of the cats going to be there, Senor Bull?
Oh, man, I know I definitely have some off the top of my head. Like you said, Rocky Johnson, being if you're a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
I know there's another one of the wrestlers from the classic tag team, the Killer Bees.
Nice.
They WrestleMania alumni right there. You got Joel Wynkoop, our buddy. He'd been in over like 200 different B movies, man. Great time, man. One of my favorite artists and writers, Tim Seeley. If you guys haven't checked out Hack and Slash and you're a horror film fan, you got to see it, man.
So good.
Like you said, we were talking earlier, and we're like, how has that not become a movie yet?
Yeah. I mean, when I met Senor Bull, I was not a fan of slasher flicks. I never watched him or anything like that. I read that comic, and now I go to see slasher flicks with him all the time. That comic is great, man. If you're a fan of the genre, man, McPats is out there, you underground horror radio cats, you got to check out some Hack and Slash, man. It's good stuff.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, there's tons of great people that are going to be up there, man. Just lots of fun. It's this weekend. The venue is the Embry-Riddle ICI Center, which is located in Daytona Beach. And it's kicking off this weekend. It's running Saturday and Sunday, and I think you can get. I think the daily ticket is $10, and I'm pretty sure they have a weekend ticket.
The weekend for 2 days is $18, so you save $2.
Exactly, man. And what a deal. You get to, you go to some of these conventions, just getting in the door is going to cost you $60-something or something like that. Like, this is great. They've got a lot of cool, creators and probably also a lot of local cats coming out from the Daytona area.
Yeah,
man,
they said 160 vendors.
That is
there.
Oh,
That's
man,
huge.
I am stoked, man. I can't wait to see like the cosplay.
Yeah,
and I know we're a big fan of that, but I mean, like you said, man, definitely some big news I know you and I are excited for. Me and El Bandito are going to be there on location, checking out the Daytona Beach Comic-Con, definitely giving some updates, hopefully.
Absolutely, yeah. We're going to try to do some Facebook Live, and man, so if you're going to be out at the event, man, try to catch up with us. We'll be wandering around. We're going to try to talk to as many people as we can and have some fun. So definitely try to make it out. If you can't make it out, man, we understand. But stick with the Power Hour of Love. Check out Facebook Live, and you can check in on the event through our beautiful and wonderful eyes.
You know it, man. And like I said, we always make it fun. We're probably going to pick our, I know we'll both have our individual favorite cosplay and stuff like that. We have a good time, man. We're a lot of fun. So like you said, man, if you guys catch us, come right up and say hello. I'm sure we're going to be having, some equipment with us. So people are going to be like, what are those cats doing over there? But yeah, man, we just can't wait to get up there and have fun with these guys up at the Daytona Beach Comic-Con.
Absolutely. All right, hopefully we'll see you there. But in the meantime, let's check out some other wicked news stories, man. Like we said, Captain Joel could not be with us tonight because of the epicness of this 1,000th issue of Action Comics. by all measure that we can tell, this is the first comic to have ever reached this iconic number, man. Debuting in, 1939, I believe, or 38?
Man, it goes back, man.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's that iconic, first issue where the Superman's got the car, and
Yeah,
there's
he's holding a car over his
and I always like the gangster that's like in the corner. Like he just has like, he's like wide-eyed and he's like, holy shit. You can just tell like the look on his face.
No doubt. So Action Comics ended up kind of being Superman, and it's where he's primarily been featured, and he took over the book, man. So here we are at issue 1000, and it's just an iconic milestone. So I know I've got my order on reserve over at Big Dog Comics, man. You guys should get out there. This comes out this Wednesday, April 18th, man. Go and grab yourself a copy. It's a supersized issue. It's over, I don't want to say over, but I think it's exactly 80 pages. So it's an $8 book. Its cover price is $7.99, but it has entries from everyone and anyone, man, who's still around that has worked on this book and that they could get to work on it, man. It's something like 30 or 40 different cats. I know some of the most prominent people on there that I recall is Brian Michael Bendis, one of the forerunners and editors-in-chief over at Marvel, actually went to go and work on this book again that he worked on years ago. So they've got a lot of really great people contributing to this book. I know, who are the guys that did Hush?
It was Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb. Yeah.
But I think all three of them are actually working on this book.
Oh, I know Jim Lee.
Don't quote me on that. I know
sure,
Jim Lee is there.
The cover, I'm pretty sure, is a Jim Lee. Yeah. So, but man, like, go ahead and throw Superman some love, man, for hitting issue 1000.
1000, man. I know Batman's not far behind, so that'll be pretty epic too.
Oh yeah, man. Well, like you said, a lot of comics have gone to the weekly format and stuff like that. But man, Action, man, for all the years it's been around, congratulations. Hopefully 1,000 more.
You know it, guys. And for all you people out there that are haters of Superman, being like his comics are boring, they stuck around for 1,000 issues. How many issues your comic got? That's right.
This is true. I know if Party Man's still out there listening, I know he's going to be throwing us a lot of love for that one.
Absolutely. And I know he had asked me, he sent me a message earlier this week to find out if Grant Morrison was working on it.
There you go. Classic,
I didn't get any info on it. I couldn't find any reference to him on there, so maybe not. But I know he's the one that did All-Star Superman, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
awesome.
Yeah, one of the most revered Superman stories, man. So
hell yeah, man. Very, very good stuff. Congrats to DC Comics on hitting that milestone.
Absolutely. See, we're bipartisan, man. What's wrong with the rest of the country? You could love two sides of the coin.
Hey, man, Arrow won our March Madness thing.
Yeah.
So that will go to show you that, we definitely aren't. We don't just sway to one side.
Yeah. All right, so what's else in the news today? Let's check it out. We've got this lovely screen capture here. This is a representation. What did they used to call that in like America's Most Wanted?
Oh man,
it was like a recreation,
dramatization.
Dramatization of the events in question.
Well, definitely, this one's a little close to our home. A West Palm Beach man was involved in a car crash. And, he submitted his dashboard camera to the police because he said, on the video, it would prove that it wasn't his fault.
Sure, yeah.
Which I guess that turned out to be true, that someone else had ran into him.
Yeah.
The only thing is on further review of the dashboard footage, it revealed that days earlier, the man was involved in a burglary of a storefront. So,
and he was on it was on his own camera?
Yes. I guess he thought that, giving them permission, they were only going to watch like the last half an hour. Well, they ended up watching like the last couple of days until they saw this guy taking a baseball bat to a storefront, breaking it, and then him and a couple friends stealing some TVs and stuff out of there. So, needless to say, while he got off on one infraction, he's currently under arrest for burglary. Breaking and entering and burglary and all those things.
Now, look, I got to say, whenever someone wants to hold my cell phone, I always think in my head, what kind of videos are on here that I don't want people to see? They're not exactly criminally related, but there's definitely stuff I don't need people to see that's on my phone. So I don't know how that doesn't cross your mind that, like, wait a minute, did I commit a robbery in front of this camera 2 days ago?
Oh, you know it, man. You'd think that you're like, maybe I need to do a little altering. I'll drop that off in a couple of days.
Yeah, cut a little bit of the footage down or something.
Oh, man, we see here, Eric G says, running a little late tonight. We are off to a little bit of a late start, but man, just like the Hulk, man, this is a supersized giant episode, just like Action Comics number 1000, man. So we appreciate you guys running with us tonight, but we still got some more news to throw down on you guys.
Absolutely. Let's go on to the next story here. Now, this one's kind of fun. It's a little hard to tell, I'm sure, for all you beautiful people out there, but this is actually a cardboard cutout. In this photo, the man in the photo is a cardboard cutout. Why don't you tell him what that man's doing?
Okay, so Vermont. This is in Vermont state. A restaurant owner is offering a $100 reward for the return of this life-size cardboard cutout of himself.
Nice.
So as you can see, it's a good-looking cutout. He's promoting his business.
Yeah, it looks real.
Well, apparently that this cutout was on display at the airport.
Okay.
The restaurant's nearby. And according to surveillance video, two women just decided to just up and take this display.
Yeah.
As you can see
these two women. They were like, that's mine now. And they just picked it up and walked off with it.
I mean, I don't know if I was the dude, if I'd be flattered, that these women were just like, I got to have this.
I don't know, man. I got a feeling they're not going to do nothing good with it.
Yeah. That's true. That's true, El Bandito.
They're going to be sending in some dash cam footage of that cardboard cutout stealing some stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I guess a lot of, when this got put out where the man was offering a $100 reward, a lot of people called him up and said, hey, why it's $100 for a piece of cardboard? That seems kind of crazy. Turns out that this cardboard cutout costs $350.
Whoa, okay.
So it's definitely being put in the police report as, meaningful loss. It's not just, a $50 thing that the guy's kind of like, I just, it's got sentimental value. The guy's like, no, it costs like $250 more to get a new one. So I kind of want it back, So kind of an interesting story. We will definitely keep our eye on this one to see if it develops any further.
Or if there's any fun photos of this cardboard guy just hanging out in different places.
Yeah, with like these girls.
He's going to be at the Daytona Comic Convention.
I was going to say, too, like, I guess I don't never really hear a lot of PoDunk news stories coming out of Vermont.
Yeah.
It just seems like a quiet little state up there.
My impression of it is there's like 70 people in the whole state. That's my thought of Vermont.
Or anytime you see like those like really like wooded area pictures, like where there's just trees everywhere, that's what I think of Vermont. And then there's Canada.
I bet it's nice and cold there, though.
Oh, I bet it is. That's probably why they need it. They need to stay warm at night,
They're going to stay warm with this fancy restaurant owner. Maybe they're going to try to get some free appetizers.
Maybe. They're like, hey, can we eat here? And he's like, yeah, sure. Stay right here while I call the police.
All right. Well, we'll let you know where he turns up. In the meantime, you might want to turn up to the Best Buy Gamers Club, man, because they have got a new promotion going on that's pretty rocking. We wanted to tell all you awesome gamers out there about it. What's going down, Senor Bull?
Oh, man. Well, if you guys like video games, this might be the way to go if you want to save some bucks. Nowadays, we can't go to a local video store and rent. I mean, I know there, Redbox offers like a pretty good selection of new titles, but same thing, that could add up. Check this out, though. This is actually to get copies of the game. Okay. Like, it's a new club that you join up, which for a 2-year membership, it will cost you $30, and they give you a 20% off on all new and pre-orders.
Nice.
Now, on the bold print, a lot of people have been saying that Best Buy doesn't really they don't really carry used or old games, so everything's kind of new. So this is almost like 20% off all inventory, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it will be for the first few weeks.
Exactly.
Obviously, once they start renting games out and getting them back, they're going to end up with used stuff.
Well, this is actually, like I said, this club is actually for you to purchase these games.
Oh, so you're not renting.
Yeah, so here, that's what I was just saying, just in comparison to back in the day when you went this, some of these are almost half off. Like, check this out, man. If you're part of they're doing some sales, too. So right now, Super Mario Odyssey is the newest, Mario game on the Switch. Mm-hmm. Right now, if you were to go in there and buy it at Best Buy, it would cost you $50. Originally retailed at $60. Okay. So you're saving a little bit of money right there. Yeah. Well, if you're part of the Gamers Club, you get it for $40.
Nice.
So there you go, right there. $20 pretty much from when it first came out. Mm-hmm. You're saving. Of course, you're saving $10 even if you aren't part, but hey, you get a little extra money saved.
Yeah.
Call of Duty World War II. Currently right now you could buy it for $40. with the I'm sorry, you can buy for $40, for $32 if you're part of the Gamers Club.
There you go.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z, newest awesome fighting game in the Dragon Ball series. Looks just like you're playing the cartoon. That's running $50. Same thing. If you're part of the Gamers Club, $40. Check this one out, though. I know you're a fan of these.
Okay.
Dead Rising 4 came out last year.
Nice.
Right now you can pick it up, just on sale for $25. If you're part of the Gamers Club, $20.
Man.
So, man, $30 gets you that 2-year, membership.
Yeah.
So you're kind of paying a little in advance, but, man, you could really rack up some deals here.
Yeah, especially if you game a lot. If you're buying a lot of games. I mean, dude, I don't think I buy 3 games a year, So it wouldn't be worth the $30 to me to save $10 on 3 games. So I'm paying the same money either way. But I know there's a lot of people out there who buy a new game every month, you know. Yeah. 2 new games a month. They're buying games as presents for other people, man. Mm-hmm. This is definitely the way to do it, especially if you're if you're buying your games from Best Buy to begin with. You
know it, man. Yeah, it's just a way to spend a little bit of bucks up front, but then also save a little more, even on already sailed items. So, pretty cool.
Pretty awesome stuff, man. All right, well, there you go, all you video game guys out there. We're always looking out for you guys. We'll sure to do some cool stories on some awesome games in the future. We know we just last week did our first ever live gaming here on the Power Hour, man. If you missed that, we'll throw a card up over here for you guys to check it out. Later this week, we're also going to release our behind-the-scenes bonus footage of us playing the game, setting it up and demoing it, and the awesome, totally random bull got jumped in as Jason in Friday the 13th and killed absolutely everyone, and it was awesome. An amazing run that we happened to capture. So we're going to put that footage up later this week. Keep an eye out over the summer. We're going to try to get a lot more into doing some live gaming and having some fun. If you have any suggestions of games you'd like us to give a review on, if you'd like to just see us try or play, throw it in the comments down there. All considerations are welcome, guys. So thanks so much.
You know it. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. I can't wait till we get back into doing some more of that.
Absolutely. All right, but speaking of things we can't wait to get back into doing more of, how about we jump right back into our countdown to Infinity War?
Let's do it. There's that red ribbon.
That ought to wake you right back up on it. That's such a great logo, man. Or a song with that. I just love it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that tune has gone with the Avengers since it, debuted. So definitely it's very iconic now. Oh, but Eric G said that our video gaming was very fun to watch. Well, thanks a lot, buddy. Yeah. We're glad people enjoyed it. We definitely got a lot of awesome feedbacks. Like we said, in the coming weeks, we're going to try to work some more awesome gameplay in there with you guys. And, like you said, if there's anything you guys would like to watch us play, throw it out there.
Yeah, and I love the idea, too, like you're saying, that you like how people can jump in and game with us. We absolutely do, too. We considered being like, oh, let's get a Power Hour thing, but then we got to pay for it and always update it. And, we can't use our personal games if we got them on download. So we're like, you know what? I'm fine with just giving my personal info out there. Let people join me on Xbox. What are they going to do?
Become part of the show.
Exactly. So it's great to see you guys out there, too. And I agree. Super Troopers pretty much sums up everything about Vermont. So.
Good point.
But all right, let's jump into now. We're going to do our rating and review of the Hulk in the MCU, baby.
Oh, yeah, let's dig in. I always really enjoy these parts of our countdowns, man. We get to talk about some ratings. This reminds me of back in the day when you collected all the Marvel cards.
Yes.
And they had, the power ratings on the back. I just always thought that was so cool.
Absolutely. I loved that. It was one of my favorite things to do, but another one of my favorite things to do as a kid was, even with or without the stats, to compare with your friends. What do you think? Who do you think would win in a fight? Who do you think's a better Avenger, a better X-Men, a better Fantastic Four member? Who do you think is better?
And then that jerk-off kid would drop the living Chernobyl, and you're like, come on, man. Yeah. That's a whole different class.
I don't think it's called it's the living tribunal, right?
Is it the tribunal?
Yeah, it's a tribunal. Yeah, you said the living Chernobyl. That's that city that melted down in Europe.
That's going to be my comic book character. The living Chernobyl.
He's the living Chernobyl. I think you're the living Charboil. There you go.
No. I mean, he'll be like a radioactive guy, and
Or I think he was in the Justice League movie. Actually, The Living Chernobyl. That was where they filmed the movie.
Oh, at the very end, they had to live in Chernobyl. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Someone would drop that weird pyramid-looking shit. Or ego.
Yeah, the Living Tribunal looked like a guy, though. Remember, he looked like a guy and he had the scales.
Well, I thought he had who was the guy at the pyramid head?
I don't know a pyramid head guy. The Living Tribunal, though, weared like a hood and he had like gold eyes.
Okay, I'm thinking there is another guy that had like a
he's probably another one of the Eternals, so it's fine. Which they're speculating they're going to have an Eternals movie in the MCU in the next few years.
Oh, well, like I said, I think it's interesting enough, but those were never, I know we've both agreed that we were never, like the cosmic level Marvel stuff I was never super into.
That always seemed like that's the kids that were on drugs. That's what they were reading and that's what they were checking out. But yeah, with the appearance of several Celestials, it seems like the Eternals are not far off, especially with the reference at the end of Guardians 2 where Star-Lord looks into the sky, his eyes are filled with the stars, and he says, "I see eternity."
Yeah. Well, what's the name of, like, what's the equivalent of God? Like, isn't it called like him or the man that, like, there's a Marvel name for that character. Like, you know what I'm talking about.
I do. Yeah. It's like the One or something like that or something. Yeah.
If you guys know, throw it in the comments.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're digressing. I went into the Living Chernobyl.
That's gonna be one for the records, man. I know a lot of people, they comment us like, "What is Charboil talking about?"
I know
that's gonna be a good one.
That's one of my that's one of the things that draw people to the show. They just imagine all the things that I can.
I think next year we're gonna do a compilation of all the wildest stuff he said.
I think the Mark Rufio or Rubio one was probably one.
I don't know. I think you're just killing it tonight with Betsy Ross being the Hulk's girlfriend and the Abomination attacking Harlem.
I saw a lot of our listeners here throwing down that they heard Obama as well. It was 2008. I'm just saying.
It was 2008. It was Harlem. The Abomination was strong down there.
I'm just saying.
All right, but let's get to talking about the Incredible Hulk. Let's get back to why we're all really here, man. We're going to give you the power.
Is Abomination Wakanda now? I'm just saying.
I think they're all rooting for Luke Cage now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, he's still up there.
He's hanging out in Harlem, man. So, all right. So we got the Incredible Hulk, man, and we're going to break him down and talk about what he's doing in the MCU and how he's kicking butt in the MCU because we love this brother, man. All right. So powers and abilities, right? Now, we all know that the Hulk has got some pretty wicked and some pretty epic powers, but I think that I tried to do some research on this man, and I couldn't narrow it down to an exact time and an exact place, but someone wrote the phrase, "The madder the Hulk gets, the stronger the Hulk gets."
Okay. So is that official? I mean, I know we said his powers have changed throughout the years, but is that definitely something that they roll with?
It's definitely one of those things. It's kind of an unspoken rule. You know, like it's never actually attributed as a power, but it's kind of a long-standing tradition. And it's also what sort of makes the Hulk invulnerable, invincible, superior, you know? And a lot of times we don't see that in the MCU, that he does seem to get a little beat down here and there. But for the most part, it holds true even there, that the madder he gets, especially when he's fighting Thor and stuff like that, his power continues to grow and grow and grow.
All I have to add in is just a side note, very weak solar plexus.
Whatever, man. All right, talking about the one time where Batman fought the Hulk and in some corny ass shit he hit him in the solar plexus and made him breathe in some toxic gas, and Batman beat the Hulk, and I'm just like, yeah, that's a garbage 90s comic. I don't want to hear nothing about it.
I'm pretty sure I went back to the 80s, but yes,
okay.
I get where you're driving at. But and actually earlier I don't think we ever announced who that X-Men was. That we're gonna throw it down one more time. If you guys know which X-Men famous X-Men premiered in the Incredible Hulk, you let us know in the comments.
Yeah, his first appearance was in an Incredible Hulk book, man. Throw it down there. You'll get an official Power Hour no prize. How about that?
Well, announce your name.
All right, so in the MCU, man, we know that the Hulk is powerful, and no time did that adage ring more true than when he was kind of hypnotized by the Scarlet Witch, and he was going on his rampage, and they sent the Hulkbuster armor out to tackle the Hulk, and the Hulk busted the armor.
Oh, that is a great... I mean, just that action sequence alone is just awesome. You know, like just him going through all those buildings and stuff.
But this punch where he actually breaks the Hulk's, you know, or the Iron Man's hand, he's breaking Iron Man's Hulkbuster hand. was just so epic, man, and just what an attribution to his power. And again, he rips out of Veronica. He breaks free because he's in such a rage. So that strength of his is just, it's incredible. And you couple it with his nigh invulnerability, because here is the scene from the 2012 Avengers where the fighter jet is shooting through the front of the helicarrier at the Hulk, and he's taking full on, like, this is heavy gunfire. It may even be 50 cals or something. These are huge rounds hitting him.
Yes.
And he's just shaking it off, jumps out there and wrecks that plane.
I like when that pilot tries to get away and he grabs him.
Yeah, and he's like, nope. That dude probably puked his brains out, you know?
Awesome.
All right. And he's becoming more intelligent.
Yes.
So that's definitely a boon for him, is where you may say, oh, he's easily tricked, or he was easily tricked by the Scarlet Witch. Dude, everyone was tricked by the Scarlet Witch.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't really call that a negative on the Hulk's part. But maybe you could say his intellect wasn't great, but the fact that he's getting smarter really makes me think that this won't really serve as a weakness for him.
Well, I think it's cool that they've taken their time with this too.
Yes.
Not to just as a relation, real quick, not to get off the Marvel stuff, but I kind of like it almost like how like the Flash TV show has handled Gorilla Grodd. Like he's slowly but surely becoming like the character from the comics, intellect wise. First you could say a couple words, now he's like making full sentences. So it's like, it's just kind of cool to see that
progression, build up and everything. Anticipation of where these characters will go is fantastic.
Absolutely.
But again, like this really doesn't, it holds true to the Hulk's character, that he's smart, but not too smart. But definitely with the World War Hulk comic series, how he became smarter by spending more time as the Hulk, as more of an homage to his lack of knowledge, his naivety versus any sort of, he's not smart aspect of it, like it's just he doesn't know anything. So the longer he's Hulk, the more he learns.
Absolutely. And I always love his banter back and forth with Thor. It's
Hulk's strongest Avenger.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
But all in all, powers and abilities, solid 10 out of 10, baby. You cannot take down the Hulk on your own, man. Some have come close. We've seen Thor really stand his own and hold his own against the Hulk, man. It even looked like he might have beat him in Ragnarok. It was pretty close there at the end. But I'm pretty sure the Hulk wouldn't have been put down that easy. The Chitauri couldn't put him down when they had 30 or 40 soldiers, man. I'm not sure anything is going to take this big bad boy out, despite claims that Thanos is even stronger than the Hulk. But we'll have to see next Friday.
Well, Thanos may have heard about his solar plexus. So
yeah, maybe. Maybe. He's got that power of the California raisins working for him. So.
That's awesome.
Next up, we got the role in the Battle of New York, man. Now, again, this is the battle in the original 2012 Avengers series, the culmination of the film, where the Chitauri, led by Loki, are attacking New York. Now, what do you think of the Hulk's importance to that battle?
For one, it's like, we had seen the Hulk in the movie, but not really as like an Avenger. He kind of like destroyed a bunch of shit and fought Thor. So like this is like really where he kind of like in a sense teamed up with the rest of the guys, to try to complete a certain goal. And man, talk about taking it to the Chitauri.
Oh yeah,
I'll get that one out there because he was trashing these guys. Not to mention one of those giant like flying dragon things. Remember, he just punches it. Like, takes
the one punch where he manages to take down that Chitauri ship, whatever they call that. And I have to say, to me, this was the most inspiring moment to the whole team. It was a turning point where I feel like they realized we can win this. We can actually do this. Because the odds were pretty overwhelming to this point. And then when they sent that dragon thing down and Tony didn't have anything that would destroy it, he was basically like, oh my God, dude, we are out of gas.
Oh, yeah.
They're sending in the National Guard and they're like, what are we going to do? But when the Hulk takes it down with one punch, man.
Yeah.
This gave me chills in the theater. I loved this moment, man. For this moment alone, I would give him a 10 out of 10. But the Hulk even had more to do in this battle.
What was that?
For one, his maneuverability, the fact that he could get from area to area so quickly and help Iron Man contain the Chitauri was super important for the lives and safety of the people in New York City. So that was a great benefit. Also, his ability to get high up in the air and fight on the ground was both good. But he took a swing at Loki.
That's true. Yeah, that's one. I'd have to say, I think most people, like if they think of the original Avengers, they reference the scene.
Yeah.
It's just so badass.
Yeah, and again, Loki was not leading the army from this point on.
Yeah.
So that taking out kind of the leader is always a good thing in a fight, and the Hulk absolutely did it. So yeah, man, powers and abilities, 10 out of 10. Role in the battle for New York. What do you think?
Oh, dude, yeah. There's no higher score that we can give
Wait. I almost forgot. There's one last thing that the Hulk does that makes him important to the Battle of New York.
And what's that?
Because arguably, he saved Iron Man's life.
That's a good point. He's fallen. The systems have failed. They're going out, and
I mean, Thor was there. He was swinging the hammer. He was going to make the jump, but the Hulk was there 2 steps ahead of him, right? So you're like, okay, but maybe Thor could have saved him, right?
But no, yeah.
But they all thought he was dead, remember?
Oh,
he was down there. Thor ripped his mask off, and he's and they're all just staring down at Tony. And remember, the Hulk just screams at him, and he like comes to life. So arguably, he brought Tony back from the dead. We don't know.
Well, that's some resuscitation maneuvers, right?
Exactly. Now, which one of you guys kiss me? All right. So ultimately, man, as if it wasn't enough to take down a Chitauri ship all single-handedly, if it wasn't enough to take on Loki himself, if it wasn't enough to save Iron Man, I don't know what would be, because he is getting a 10 out of 10 in his role for the Battle of New York.
Yeah, very, very beneficial.
Yep. All right. Assemble. The Assemble score, of course, is how influential you are in forming or recruiting different Avengers. Like we said, they basically started the Avengers because of the Hulk.
Yeah. What are we going to do about this big green thing?
Yeah, and I know Fury references in the Avengers film that, oh, blah, 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 we were doing all this because of him. And a lot of people think like, oh, well, Thor was the reason the Avengers got together, right? But remember, both the Incredible Hulk and the original Iron Man came out before Thor did.
Yes.
And in that scene, Fury is specifically referencing the Phase 2 weapons and why they were utilizing the Tesseract for the first time since World War II to develop weapons was because of Thor, not the formation of the Avengers themselves. So the Avengers got together, like in this scene, Tony says, to help try to contain and hunt down the Hulk, should that ever be a problem.
Absolutely, man. So it's like pretty much from the movies, from the comics, probably even any other kind of media, the Avengers kind of assemble in the, to get the Hulk. So,
absolutely, yeah. And the fact that even Loki, when he hears the Hulk screaming, when he transforms into the Hulk in the scene when Hawkeye is invading the helicarrier,
yes,
and Loki's imprisoned, he smiles because this was his plan all along.
Yes,
was to get the Hulk, to get everyone together and get them out of his way.
Yes.
So very reminiscent of the original book. Loki was outcast. He kind of wanted to get back at Thor, get revenge at Thor, and he knew he could do it through the Hulk. So I love, again, bringing back the original stories and everything. So yeah, man, 10 out of 10. He brought the Avengers together.
Did.
Come on.
He's the glue.
Like I
Keeps
said,
them stuck together.
He's like their Atlas, bro. All right, so finally, his Avenger score. What makes an Avenger a good Avenger? Anything Captain America does, basically, is what makes you a good Avenger. So let's take a moment to look back at the history of the Hulk and what he does as a hero, right? So first off, he battles the Abomination in Harlem, apparently taking no care to protect people whatsoever.
Nope.
With cars flying everywhere, just blowing stuff up. I mean, he does try to not get directly in front of people, but dude, he's literally on a city street fighting the Abomination. He doesn't call him out to the outskirts of the city or nothing. He's just like, I'm going to jump in right here and fight him. So,
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I remember the Abomination. he could actually like completely talk and and taunt the Hulk, which I think just got things more violent, So yeah, but I mean, what an awesome scene seeing these two guys go at it and stuff like that. So yeah, I love that fight scene. But you're right, the Hulk really wasn't concerned about what was going on around him.
Yeah. So again, we see that kind of carry on in the Avengers film as he's literally running through this office building that's filled with there's a guy like 3 feet away. This guy in a suit right here.
Yeah,
this guy's in trouble, bro. There's no way he's walking away without an injury when the Hulk comes rampaging by.
Absolutely.
So again, great to contain the violence and not let the Chitauri hurt people, not great at not hurting people himself, right? And when we say people, we mean everyone, including his teammates.
Exactly.
Who he spends a huge portion of time fighting.
Yes.
You know?
He's just, like you said,
Yeah, so is he really much of a team player when he's like, hey, we met on an alien world. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. Hey, man, he was just in the game at that point. He's like, I got to retain my title.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you do what you got to do to survive. But again, this was your friend.
Yes, yeah. From work.
I'm going to smash him. You know?
I'm going to brick him.
So, okay, let's face it. The Hulk his problems are too big. His abilities too uncontrollably powerful to really help the average guy, right? One thing I always loved about Spider-Man was if I lived in New York City and I was getting mugged, he might come and save me.
Sure.
The Hulk is never going to stop a mugger in Manhattan, without just mushing the guy. So I really feel like that lack of ability to help the little guy and his recklessness and his need to constantly fight everything and everyone, including his allies, is going to kind of ding the Avengers score a little bit.
I agree.
I wouldn't say his heart's exactly in the right place here. As much as you want to be like, the good inside me is what drives me to do this, or I got to get the weapons that I created out of the hands of people misusing them, and just different things like that. I got red in my ledger and I need to clean it up. There are so many reasons to be an Avenger, and because you want to smash stuff isn't really a good. Now, maybe it's unfair to not put Banner into the equation somewhere, but we're talking about the Hulk.
Sure.
So, I mean, sure, it's great that Banner wanted to go out there and help locate the Gamma stuff and everything like that. But they wanted the Hulk,
Absolutely, man.
So we'll give him a couple of points for Banner and him helping out. Although ultimately they didn't really need help tracking down Loki because they were like, oh, he's right there, just like murdering tons of people. But we're gonna give him a 3.
I think that's, like you said, as an Avenger.
Yeah.
Specific roles that he does. Sure, he gets credit for, but just his sheer brutality.
Yeah, his recklessness, I think, is the biggest damaging factor. I mean, considering the Avengers is most of the time started because the Hulk is destroying most of the world, we can't really say he's the most helpful guy. He wouldn't be my first choice if I had to sell all the Avengers on it. I'm not calling the Hulk to be like, dude, my neighbor just messed up my grass. Get out here and help me out. You just throw this guy's house apart.
I don't know. With some neighbors, you might want that to happen.
So he's getting kind of a snub score on that one, but hey, man, you make the bed, you sleep in it. But we're going to move on to the
Oh, here's the one I've been waiting for.
So my personal score, I got to say, one of my favorite origin stories of all time, if not my absolute favorite story, in its succinctness, in its like beautiful telling of that sort of, I should say a retelling of that classic monster story, and what I truly love about it is that good motive of Dr. Banner at the beginning. He went out there to save a kid, and whether or not the Hulk carries that on when he's the Hulk is a different story. But originally in these books, I connect with Banner, his fugitive, his dual mentality. I think a lot of people can absolutely relate to needing to quell the monster inside of you. We all get pissed about stupid shit. Sure. We all take it out on people that we wish we didn't. And that is exactly what the Hulk's all about. I mean, check out the scene from Mallrats with Stan Lee, where he's even joking about the Hulk as a reflection of himself, that he needed to contain his rage, man. I think that the Hulk and the character of him speaks to people, each and every person on the planet, in an individual and personal way. And for that, I absolutely love the character, man. I am going to give him a 9 out of 10.
There you go, man. No, absolutely. That's a pretty awesome score there, man. And the points that you made were very good to match up with that high rating.
Thank you. I know you're like, I like him because he smashes stuff.
Well, hey, you just had a good 2 or 3 minutes of talking, so I'm going to fill that with about a good 15 seconds. That's usually as much time you give me, but no.
I do it.
But no, I would say, I definitely do like the way that the Hulk handles a lot of things. with his fist. No, but but no, it is. It's a really cool, like you said, to kind of piggyback on what you said. The characters, kind of taking them as a combination, even with the thing with the sundown. Which honestly, I'll be completely honest with you, man, I did not know that till tonight, so I learned something here too. But it's a combination of those classic movie monster takes, which just makes him really cool, man. And just his brute force and his strength is just so, I don't know, to me, so amazing. The Incredible Hulk is such a cool title, to it. And I mean, even when you talk about like the video games and stuff, when you're playing as like the Hulk, you're just like, man, I am a wrecking machine. It's a lot of fun, And usually his villains are usually just as strong as he is or stronger. So it's kind of like they're exciting. Or you could even say, hey, there's that ride at Universal Studios where you feel like you're the Hulk flying all over the place. It's a roller coaster. And I like when you shoot out of it, it's like, you're like, holy shit, I'm riding on the Hulk here. So it's just all around. He's probably, I'd say out of the Avengers, he's my favorite Avenger. So I had to go ahead and give him a 10.
10 out of 10, man. So the Hulk, like everything else he gets in contact with, crushes it tonight. He gets a whopping huge score here, man. A lot of 10s floating around out there. And like we said, we're taking all the scores that we give them and we're combining them with the listener score. That's right. This is the part of the show where we need all your guys' help, man. Drop in the comments below that you love the Hulk, that you love Captain America or Thor or Iron Man, whoever you love, man. Throw it down in the comments, and we count each and every one of those at the end of this whole segment, and we're going to add them to the Avengers score to find out who is the most loved Avenger between not only me and Senior Bull, but out of all you beautiful people out there. We've had a great response from this so far. It is pinned to the top of our Facebook page. We'll put a comment or a link to it in the description below. And you feel free to comment here on YouTube, wherever you like. We're going to add all those up and attribute them to everyone. But we figured as our final Avenger, we'd take a moment to recap some of the scores that we've gone through so far. So our scores that we give in the reviews, Captain America out there with a 51, right? The Invincible Iron Man hanging strong with a 53. Thor, the mighty Thor, a 51 matching Captain America. Hawkeye came in with 41, man. 41 solid points for the sensational man with no powers other than he's really good with a bow. But the Black Widow, I think, at a sheer sexiness, pulled ahead with 4 extra points at 45, man. So everyone's looking good and looking strong. They're all pretty much neck and neck. Your guys' votes can make the difference on who wins and who doesn't win and who becomes the most celebrated and loved Avenger for the rest of the year right here on the Power Hour of Love. And we went ahead and we added up our totals for tonight. The Incredible Hulk coming in at 52 solid points, man.
So you're right. It is very, very close, man. I know we haven't answered that earlier question that we said. Why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners which X-Men appeared in the Incredible Hulk?
You got it, man. All right. So in a classic issue, they decided to have the Hulk running around up there in Canada where he ran into none other than the Canadian I guess he's not Canadian anymore. Whatever. The Canadian freaking superhero from the X-Men, the legendary man who started it all, the Wolverine.
Absolutely, man. And it's, like I said, it's a milestone issue. That's 181, right, of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, somewhere right in there.
So when you look at it, I mean, even then, the Hulk had almost 200 issues under his belt, man. So this guy, strong character, got a strong score here. Threw down first time with Wolverine. We know he's fought him numerous times, ripped his arms off, ripped his head off.
Ripped him in half.
I think he even ate him one time.
I think so.
So, I mean, yeah, definitely a tough contender. But, man, so looking at the scores, at least compared right now, Iron Man still takes the lead.
He's still 53. In the lead by a single point. But all the votes that we have count, man. We have got tons of votes on this. We absolutely love it. But don't stop. Keep voting. You can vote on the poll every single day. So you can vote for a different Avenger every single day and keep adding to the totals of all of them. So this is so neck and neck right now, guys. Anything can change in the next week, man. So keep voting for everyone. Have super fun. Throw something in the comments. Say that you like it. Share the video to any Avengers fans you have out there. And make sure to join us next week right here when we dedicate the entire episode to Infinity War itself. We're going to tell you about the comic Infinity War. We're going to talk about the upcoming movie, our predictions for it. We're going to see if we're right on any of this stuff. It should be awesome. It should be epic, man. We hope to see you guys all there.
Oh, yeah, and like we said, don't forget to keep an eye on the Facebook over the weekend, man, because we'll definitely be throwing down some awesome stuff as we go and invade Daytona Comic-Con.
Absolutely, because I know that they are going to be stoked for the upcoming film, so we'll be able to talk to them and really get jazzed up for next Monday night's episode. But join us here Monday, 9 p.m. as well, where we talk about Infinity War.
That about wraps it up for tonight, man. Favorite Avenger, the Hulk, man. What an awesome show.
Absolutely. All right, any parting words for you beautiful people?
They say, yeah, Wolverine. Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. We always appreciate your support, and we'll catch you next time. Yeah.